Thank you for joining us wherever you are. This podcast episode is brought to you by the Old Ways Actual Play team. This actual play uses the 7th edition Call of Cthulhu tabletop role-playing game rules by Chaosium. This actual play is performed by adults and in an adult setting. While we try very hard to stick to language for all ages, listeners should know that this podcast may include mature themes. All content, including names, places, events, companies, and etc., that may bear resemblance to entities living or dead, is strictly coincidental. My name is Michael Diamond, and for tonight's game, I will be your keeper. Thank you for joining us again on another episode of the Old Ways Podcast. I'm your keeper, Michael, and we return to Mask of Nyarlathotep in our Shanghai chapter. As we like to do at the beginning of every show, we'd like to thank you, the listener, and especially you, the Patreon supporter. If you've not had the opportunity to stop by our Patreon, you can at patreon.com/theoldwayspodcast and see what we have to offer. We also have a ton of merch at our website at theoldwayspodcast.com, which you can delve your way into and find a smashing design for the new year. So I'm going to start with introductions. To my right.
This is Tiffany, and I play Maeve O'Shea, and I want magical things.
That seems about par for the course. To Miss O'Shea's right.
This is Morgan. I play Lillian Lane, and we are going to go to a dinner party or something.
At the end of the table.
This is Jack Doyle, and a fire was started, and I didn't do it, so I'm clear.
Yeah, likely story. To Jack's right.
This is Lonnie. I'm playing Robert Drummond at Fire. I don't know anything about a fire. Was not there.
Yeah, you of all people. To Mr. Drummond's right.
This is Heather, and I play Stasi. And I don't know, but this girl's getting hungry. I think it's time to go to dinner.
To Stasi's right.
This is James, and I'll be playing Dr. Sigmund Tartenbach. And I don't know about you, but I'm glad we've decided where we're going and what we're doing.
And last but most certainly not least.
This is Alex playing Sam Bellon, who is always in the market for a plan B through D.
I think that's an interesting option. So we'll raise the curtain tonight in a little bit of a fluxed state. So when last we saw our investigators, they had escaped a very terrible and potentially dangerous event at Mr. Moo's house, which was attacked by strange assailants. Our fair Dr. Tottenbach was grievously wounded by his own terrible hand. Betty is no more.
Betrayed by Betty.
Yes. And with the quick thinking of one, Miss Lane, you were hopefully saved from any desperate and immediate concerns. Although your face will never be the same.
No. I was sautéed as opposed to dry roasted.
That's correct. Yes. That's correct. The group then made their way through various secret tunnels to an undisclosed location that Jack Brady had set up, where they heard tale of the truth as far as Jack Brady is concerned. And a plan began to be hatched that they would potentially look at a few different avenues. And so I'll ask the investigators, coming out of that discussion, where are you going and what are you doing?
So Brady had taken a bit of a sabbatical to go question our guest.
Yeah.
Correct?
I mean, the sound, it sounds like that's what he's doing in there.
Sure. Well, that's what we'll call it. So after he's out of the room, I will head over to Lillian, and I will offer Forsyth's rifle and ask, I believe you have something that belongs to me. I will kind of eyeball my little lady.
I hand over his little lady.
Thank you. If we're going to be staying here, I'm guessing that some of us are going to need things from the hotel.
Are we?
Perhaps some changes of clothes.
I think something more appropriate for a dinner party is in order. So I agree with Sam.
What? But weren't you guys going to go try and get an invitation?
Well, it's the middle of the night. There's not a whole lot we can do right now. But going to retrieve things, perhaps bring you some necessaries might be worth doing. And then in the morning, I plan to go back to the museum.
Well, if we are going to stay here, then yes, I think going out and grabbing some supplies to get us through the next 24 hours to prepare and be ready for whatever comes next is definitely in order. Otherwise, we're going to be, as I look down at my rather scuffed up outfit, we're going to be stuck in this. And I, for one, don't want that. So I'm for going back and picking up supplies.
I don't know that necessarily all of us need to go, but if you want to make a list, Jack, Maeve, I'm sure you have things from your rooms that you want. I have no problem fetching them for you.
You hear a voice pop up in the corner, and you see Moo set a scroll case aside. What would you go to the museum for?
To speak with Mao and see if maybe you're not the only academic in Shanghai. And if they have any sort of standing relationship or working relationship with Lin, maybe they can get us an in.
I could write you an invitation now.
Well, why wasn't that listed among our assets?
Because I don't work for you.
I did say that with a smile on my face.
You understand, of course, Madame Lin is a well-known acquirer of artifacts, yes?
I do, and I know that you might be putting your credibility on the line, so I would assure you that anyone who is operating under your recommendation would be operating with the utmost of discretion.
Yes. I have seen discretion this evening. My home is gone, but I'll happily write your invitation, provided you can afford us some time. The working that she and I must do this will be lengthy and arduous.
Well, that's what I'm planning on negotiating for. It's time.
How much time do you think you'll need, Mao?
How much time do I need?
Well, you said this process with you and Maeve would take some time. Do we have an idea? I mean, are we talking hours, days, weeks?
It's hard to say until we get into it, probably. It depends how well we work together, too, as far as how we both work. Because things that I have learned will be different from the way he's learned things. I haven't even looked at the scroll yet, and he's not even done reading it. So I would say probably as much time as we can get.
A little easier to start a negotiation when you have a set goal to work towards, even if it is an approximate. But I, not being one to dabble in most magics, I leave it to the experts. We will try to buy what time we can, but can we at least have an inkling, maybe?
Certainly. I would say less than a month.
Less than a month. All right. Well, that is something to work off of.
I am less concerned about any potential damage you might do. He looks at you, Sam. You seem like a fairly cautious individual. But Madame Lin can be... She's very forceful in our way, socially. Many people who come up against her or vie for the same piece as she does, they find themselves ill-equipped to deal with her socially.
So in these circumstances, I guess what I'm saying is I'm not looking to compete with her. And it's based from what I understand, we're essentially looking to essentially ingratiate ourselves to her. We're not looking to burn any bridges. So I believe there might be an opportunity here for us to take a number of approaches. If what you're saying is true and you can get us in to see her, perhaps even prior to the dinner party, some of us could go speak to her outside of the potential tension of those circumstances, while the more stressful parts of the negotiation, I will kind of gesture vaguely toward like Stasi and Jack, might be handled separately. And that way we might be able to hedge our bets and try to find a safe way to handle this.
Would you like to know a secret?
I love secrets, but it's not really a secret if you tell me anymore.
I'll tell all of you. It's important. I like to see things that I'm going to invest in to succeed. And I will tell you that no one here will have more success with Madame Lin, at least in the initial approach, than Miss Lane.
I agree, which is why I would hope that you would go with me.
You see, Madame Lin has a particular interest. There's nothing to be ashamed of.
Is it people?
It is a certain type of people.
He's saying that you're fetching.
I didn't tell you my
Lillian.
name.
No, but your compatriots did. To the trained scholar who simply listens and barely talks, there's a flood of information here. You are quite financially connected, yes?
My father is financially connected.
Well.
And they're by, relation.
I do agree with, I'm sorry, we haven't been formally introduced. Stasi, is it?
That's fine.
I do agree that dress will matter.
And I have plenty of those back at the hotel.
The invitation was something that will have to be garnered somewhere else if you truly wish to continue to get one. But a recommendation could be dropped off to any of her houses and then taken to her estate. She will seek you out at that point.
So perhaps recommending Miss Lane as a collector of relics of note, which is true, she is, and potentially myself as a recovery specialist, which I am, would give Madame Lin entice her enough to reach out to us, perhaps at the hotel.
But if Jack already has a piece that she might be interested in, we can use that as additional leverage.
Certainly she would be interested in anything, but she is interested in nothing more than
Power.
these scrolls.
Oh, well, which is also...
Of course, she will not get them. This is why she wants Jack Brady. Because like a coy fox, he stole them from her. He would not want me to tell you that, of course, but that is the truth. And he stole them for a reason. Because there is knowledge inside of them that will help us with Mr. Penhew, who is a scholar of the occult. And who is someone who is arguably more concerning than Ho Fang.
Like, if you want to use the crown as leverage, it's not going to matter one way or the other. All we need is a gateway to a conversation and a way to interact with her amicably and figure out what we can do for her.
The recommendation will do just that. And the reason why I stopped you from going to the museum is, of course, because I do not want any potential trail to lead back there anymore.
I understand. And I appreciate your discretion.
I recommend best, at least for the night. I will write the recommendation, and then Miss O'Shea and I will begin our studies, uninterrupted.
Doc painfully voices up. Maeve, my dear, do you mind? I am not going to be much help out in the field. Do you mind if I sit in on your research?
I don't really see, as long as
I want to make a peep.
okay. Yeah, it's fine. And then I can help you with the paint.
Wunderbar.
The pain?
He got burned.
Oh, of course.
Jack, any thoughts?
It all sounds good to me. I think that's the way we should go with it.
Okay. If you want a list of things, if you want me to grab stuff from the hotel, I can bring a bunch of stuff back for you.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and do that.
Should somebody go with you, Sam? Should you be wandering the city alone?
Not wandering anywhere. I'm going to be as innocuous as possible. But everyone else is pretty worse for wear. So stay here, recover. I'll be fine.
You can see Moose drawing out characters on a very short vertical card, and he does it. His hand and the movement of his wrist with the paintbrush he's using is pretty entrancing. You can see the characters applied to each one, and then he sets it down and says, "By the time you return, this will be dry and ready for delivery. I suggest you all get some rest. There is a study room not far down the hall there. You and I can adjourn there."
Okay, I'll be right there.
He picks up his stuff and heads out of the room.
I'm going to walk over to Stasi. I apologize for yelling, and I apologize for digging at you for not being here. You had a lot going on when you left, and we're all very different people now.
May, I thank you. I get it. I understand. It has been a few years, and I'm sure a lot has happened on both sides. I don't think I will ever be fully past seeing a man possibly raise a voice, a hand to another woman. It'll always bring back memories. So I hope you know I wasn't trying to step on your place. That was not my intention.
If we can avoid people dying because they got involved, I want to do that. I am glad you're back, and I like Pierce. So, I mean, I'm happy you're working with him, I guess.
It's been an interesting ride, to say the least.
He's an interesting person.
That is very accurate.
So, I just wanted to apologize before I disappear for I don't know how long.
I thank you.
But hopefully I'll learn something new. So it'll help us.
Hopefully on the other side of all this, I would love to sit down over maybe a drink or three and find out exactly what I've missed, because
that's a lot.
I'm sure. But I would love to know. I mean, you do have a new look, at least new to me.
Yeah, that's an interesting story. It started in Chicago, but anyways, I'm gonna go study. Stay safe.
Doc smiles appreciatively, watching this whole interaction between Maeve and Stasi, and then nonchalantly closes the book, his book, and puts his pen away as Maeve walks away, and painfully rises to follow.
We'll do a little bit of this in some montage space just to move some lines, right? Sam is going to go back to the hotel and collect some things. So in a brief form, what are you collecting from the hotel?
Well, I'm getting my necessities, like my traveling gear, because when we went out pretty much in scout form. So like I didn't have my equipment, I didn't have my supplies. We were in, operative clothing. So I'll be fetching my things, in addition to retrieving any sets of clothing that people want or extra items that people are looking for from their rooms. I'll be putting them in duffels and then making my way back across town wherever I happen to be.
Yeah, so when you sort of poke your head up here, you can... Basically, the first thing you notice when you come back up is that you are quite a far away from the original portion of the old city. You are just by map north of the recreation grounds now. You're much closer to one of the rivers than you were. And you're fairly certain that if you follow that river back east, you can get across that river on the short bridge that you traveled before. Or rather, you can follow the street, that river east, and then hook south and head back to the hotel on the Bund. It's going to be a walk, though.
That's fine. This is really going to be my first opportunity. I haven't really spent a lot of time alone recently. So I think the quiet of night, I think, will be good for me. And I'm honestly, I haven't had an opportunity to think or even contemplate, what are the cats like here? I mean, this close to the river, there's got to be cats.
Oh, yeah. They're all over the place, I would imagine. Okay. So you're going to go and collect some things. Then I want to know from Mr. Drummond how you're taking all this in.
I am completely lost because everybody seems to know everything and I know nothing. This is new. So I could use three things. I could use a stiff drink. I could use a bandage for the hole in my chest. And I could use an explanation of exactly what the heck is going on here.
I think I can help with the bandaging part. I see that Mr. Drummond is injured.
You do.
I do. So I grab the doctor's bag. I'm the new doctor, but not. And I go over and ask, Mr. Drummond, would you like some assistance with bandaging up?
Yeah, sure. Thanks.
And then I'll hand him my flask.
Do you mind? I open his shirt so I can see.
Yeah, I'll remove my shirt. At least enough of it to let her work on it.
Well, oh my.
Is he a built fella?
Actually, Mr. Drummond's fairly built, yes. He is probably one of the most fit individuals that you have ever seen. As far as we would just say, in modern terms, we would say in body fat percentage. He's exceedingly toned and fairly strong.
Careful not to touch the area too much.
Just because you know yourself, Morgan knows her character sheet. He has a matching appearance that you have.
So he's very attractive.
He is exceedingly attractive.
Think more along the lines of Chris Pratt in the first Guardians of the Galaxy.
I just kind of, I pull out the bandages from the doctor's bag and kind of blush a little bit, looking at the fine specimen of Mr. Drummond, apparently. And I just, I'm going to roll, obviously, because that's important.
I figure it stares at you for a while, and then eventually goes into the doctor.
Pulls a Peggy Carter.
Right.
Okay, yeah.
Give us a roll.
I got 3-0, so I'm assuming it's 100.
That is 100, yes.
Well, you don't heal anything.
Actually, it's worse than that.
That's a botch.
What is your first? Yeah, it is. What is your first aid?
It is 65.
Okay. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to play a hand of fate in your favor, and I'm going to remove the botch and make it a failure.
Okay.
Which will allow you to push the roll should you so choose.
Ooh, you gonna push it?
I'm going to push it.
First, thank your backer.
Thank you, backer, for not letting me totally botch the roll. I appreciate it.
Kill another one of his characters.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been bad.
And then tell me how you're pushing the roll. So
how am I going to do? How am I going to do? Okay.
Lonnie, you had what? You had knife wounds, right?
Yeah, I had a slash.
Yeah, so he's got,
things going on in the chest.
Yes.
I take just a deep breath and I glance over at Jack and just kind of shake my head and okay, so I'm gonna push my roll and not roll 100 again. I get a 2.
That's an extreme success. Okay, so
hashtag NTR for the win.
So here's what we're gonna do. First aid normally heals a hit point worth of damage. I'm going to have it roll. I'm going to roll 1d3. And so I'm going to have it heal more than that. And it's going to heal Mr. Drummond 3 hit points worth of damage.
I hand Jack back his flask. I look at the very attractive doctor and thank her very profusely. And then I say, now, if somebody could explain what's going on here, that would be wonderful.
Well, how much do you need to know?
I don't know how to tell you this, but I just took a knife in the side, and I'm looking at probably more for you.
Well, what I'm saying is...
So you give me everything, and I'll decide what I need to remember.
All right. We'll try to make this quick. There's a network of cults across the earth that are trying to resurrect a god, basically. Bring it through from the other side. And we're hunting down these cults and stomping them out as best we can. And one of them is this bloated lady cult here in Shanghai.
Okay, so what's the connection to Lin and Pierce?
Well, I don't know what the connection to Pierce is, but the connection to Lin is that she has information we have, and she's also looking for Jack Brady because he stole those scrolls. We need those scrolls to reconstitute the seal.
So she has the scrolls, or Brady has the scrolls?
Moo has the scrolls right now. because Jack stole them from him.
That's what they're working on.
Yes.
So what do we need Brady for?
Because we thought he had the other piece of the, well, he does. He has the other piece of the seal. So we get the seal, we have the scrolls, we take care of that. But we also have to stop this cult in the town. And our belief is that Ho Fang is the leader of the cult. There's also somebody else here in town that we need to take care of too.
I can think of the easiest way to get in Lynn's good graces, and that's giving her Jack Brady.
Well, I understand that, but what she really wants is the scrolls, and we can't give her the scrolls.
So what does she want the scrolls for?
Because she collects this stuff. I don't know exactly. But I mean, if we really wanted to give her, get in her good graces, we just give her you and Stasi, but we're not doing that, are we?
Well, to be completely honest, I'm not the one that she's tearing apart Shanghai looking for, so I dispute that, but fair point.
Couldn't we use the information that we have, or at least know where Jack Brady is, to help with the stall?
Well, what I'm planning to do is trading the crown for time to decipher the scrolls and use them. I think she should be more than happy with that. And any information about Ho Fang and Aubrey we can find.
Alrighty. Sam, you finish up collecting things at the hotel?
Yeah, I don't make a fuss about it. I will try to determine whether there are, I don't know, suspicious fellows waiting for us to come home.
Suspicious is that word's getting a lot of work.
Okay, how about non-obviously armed individuals lurking about the lobby or waiting area or bar that continually watch the door?
You don't see any of those.
Okay. I do make an effort to, remain relatively undetected as I move about. And once I get my clothes, I will definitely leave in a different state of dress than I did when I arrived. And I will take a different route back to the safe house.
Very good. Give me a stealth roll.
That is a hard success, 20 under 95.
So you don't feel like you get trailed on the way back, but you do your best to make sure that your trail is non-existent anyway. And you feel like you do a pretty good job. There's an awful lot of angles and places in Shanghai to hide from and to hide in. And that makes it an exceptional place to move through when you're as well trained as someone like you is. And it's almost entertaining, the number of places that you can go and the way that you can get through some of these housing districts back to the temporary base you're at.
I will make a bit of a play of it, and I will channel my inner feline, if you will. Make an effort to live a little freely while I'm out.
So, Miss O'Shea, you and Moo get settled into a very basic room that has a center table, a couple of mats, and basically a few cushions. There's a teapot that is brought in. You hear a noise from upstairs. You're not really sure what is upstairs, but you almost hear the din of a restaurant. Or there's something is going on upstairs. You're not sure what it is, but you hear voices. But eventually a teapot is brought in, and then fresh glasses. Moo pours you tea after a while, after it has had a chance to properly steep. And then he reaches in to the bag beside him and pulls out a serious amount of old scroll work. And he says, I have been studying for a very long time, and I tend to acquire quickly.
Same.
Good. Then if you are much like me, then you probably worry about others slowing you down.
Usually.
You and I will begin our work on the scroll. The deciphering of the scrolls is something that will take some time, but I have given them a look. You are welcome to give them as well.
This is pretty. Is there stuff on the inside? Oh, there is. Nice.
each character, each form set has a different meaning, and there are many sheaths here, but as you might be accustomed to, I would simply recommend that you get comfortable.
Okay.
He looks over to you, Doctor, and says, while there are things you might learn here, even as a learned man, you would understand that in your position, rest might be best.
Oh, I heartily agree with you, my friend. And in fact, I will be napping over here, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I'm going to pick up Slander and put Slander on his chest.
Doc will be settling into a warm, comfortable couch area and still riding, or actually probably just starting to really feel the effects of the medication he has taken a little bit ago. He's going to go on his own little kind of a thing nearby. If he falls asleep and he stays asleep, that's fine. If he falls asleep and manages to escape corporeal form, also fine. He doesn't want to go far, though. It's
Sure.
not like he wants to go to the Dreamlands or anything.
Well, we'll say that the Doctor falls asleep,
yeah.
And is quickly finding his way to a personal dreamland.
Fantastic. Good.
Oh, I still have that spell that Dr. Kafour taught me, where we could rest and study.
Mm-hmm.
What does Moo think of that?
He says it's a dangerous spell because it can become addictive.
Well, I don't need any more of that.
Addiction?
Yeah.
Are you troubled by addiction now?
Well, not really. Just more addicted to knowledge.
And it's a fairly powerful addiction too, then.
Yeah.
I have met others who have the same addiction. If you are careful and take a measured drink of the glass, you might become a scholar one day. If you are a maniac and attempt to drink all the water at once, you will simply drown.
Sounds about right. Anyway, sorry.
So, back out in the main room, Sam, you arrive back with an assortment of gear, clothes.
Whatever people have asked for.
Yeah. You all get some replacement gear. It's late at night at this point. And so what I want to know is, after the invitation is dried and ready to go, Jack, what sort of delivery plans are you going to make with Lillian or Sam, or how are you planning on, where would you deliver this letter of recommendation to meet Madame Lin? And then how would you go about that?
I don't know. I was planning on somebody else around here knowing how to do that.
Wouldn't we just go to like one of the flower grow houses?
You could. Doesn't Stasi have connections?
I mean, that all depends on whether or not she wants to utilize them, those specific ones.
I know of her warehouses. I have watched her, well, shall we say, troop movements of the guards. I've pinpointed at least one or two of the flower houses that she's involved in. So we just need to pick the best spot. Flower house, not, I think, the place to go. I would think possibly approaching something that would really raise the alarm just a little bit. And that would be possibly approaching one of her workers at one of the warehouses. I think she would know that we definitely are onto her and mean business. That's just a recommendation, though.
Well, so just to be clear, I wasn't asking you to write this recommendation for you, because she's looking for you. She's threatened you.
I think if you want to get her attention and stall her, throwing me into the mix would definitely not be expected. But we are just talking about delivering this little piece of paper to the right place, the right type of person, so that it will be seen as urgent enough to have it taken directly to Madame Lin. and then she would read it and add, well, makes the guest list. So we have to get it into her hands.
Then why not just take it to her house?
If you were a warlord, well behind guarded palace walls of sorts, where would you listen or pay any attention to a couple of people that you don't know that came up to the edge of your house to talk to your guard? Do you really think the guard is either going to take you seriously or take that right to Madame Lin?
I think they're going to take the recommendation seriously. That's why we had him write it. That's why he's made the effort to write it so elegantly and so meticulously. The message is what conveys the impetus.
It does.
We are no one.
If it gets to Madame Lin for her to read, you have to get through
her house. So where does she live?
Hold on, both of you. Not that I'm opposed to Stasi delivering anything, even though I don't know you. But would it be wise to have somebody that she's already had as a prisoner deliver something for somebody?
No.
Just because we don't want you to be associated with me if my name's on that recommendation. Because then she automatically thinks that we are working together.
Oh, I have no compunction to walk up and deliver anything. What I am merely doing is giving you guidance on, after weeks of surveillance and trailing and gathering information on a recommendation on where somebody should be delivering this lovely little scroll that Moo has put together. The thing is that you have to get through the outer circles to get to Madame Lin. And that means even if Madame Lin knows who anybody is or may understand exactly the importance of what's written in that scroll, any guard or flower girl or anyone else you have to hand it to get it into Madame Lin's hand needs to understand that needs to get into her hands. It's important enough. There's a reason for the guard to drop whatever they're doing and make sure that it is messengered to her, because you are not going to get in walking through the front door just to hand it into her hands directly.
Sure, I understand that. So my recommendation would be that you disguise yourself and Sam as my handy dandy butler,
personal assistant, go together and do this, because you have that knowledge and that is great. But one, we don't want you getting caught again. And two, I don't want to be put in danger needlessly, as much as you might think I enjoy that. And if she knows that it's you and my name's on that recommendation, I don't know what the recommendation says, because I don't read Mandarin. That is my recommendation.
Perhaps two things need to be ironed out then before we go. One, how are we approaching this? And two, what exactly is inside that scroll?
I think Jack can read it. Jack, you read Mandarin? Or do you just speak Mandarin?
Cantonese is what we learned.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Can I just speak it or can I read it?
Well, technically speaking, I'm going to just rule that if you can speak a language, it is very likely that you can read it, unless there are extenuating circumstances like an artifact or something like that would allow you to do the inverse or one or the other, etc. Right?
Right. Okay, so I can make out some words. Yeah, I'm not terribly skilled in Cantonese, but I can read some of it.
Okay, so if you read over this recommendation, Moo has essentially written, at least the gist of what you can understand, is that he is recommending that Madame Lin receive Lillian Lane and her entourage to her estate to discuss items of rare and cultural importance that Miss Lane has arrived in Shanghai with. There's no nuance at your skill level, obviously.
All right. Yeah, right. So basically it's you and whoever else you bring along.
Okay. That makes sense.
And if you're ever curious about my experience with warlords, Stasi, we can have that conversation another time. But know that I'm no stranger to them.
That's fine. So how would you suggest getting this into her hands?
I would recommend just, again, going to one of her probably many guards, handing them the letter, and letting them handle it.
Sure. Okay.
I suggest we get some rest because it's going to be a long day. Or when's the party? In 2 days?
You're not really sure yet.
Okay. It's going to be a long, some number of hours.
Yep.
And I think we might need to go shopping tomorrow.
Possibly. So during rest, pulp heroes will gain 2 extra hit points.
So it's my understanding that we're not necessarily, this isn't like an invite to the party. This is just a call on us when you are ready to receive us. This has nothing to do with the dinner party.
That's how I see it too.
Yeah, Jack, for your side of things, this seems more like a we asked Moo for a recommendation letter, not like, hey, give me an invitation to dinner, which is sort of what he wrote.
How is she going to know where to find me? We can't have her coming here to our hideout.
Right, you guys were going to stay at the hotel so she could find you.
Okay.
Or one could simply just inform the person that you drop a letter off with where to get a hold of you. So is the plan then, if I can surmise, for some of the investigators to return to the hotel, to leave this secret area, to allow Miss O'Shea and Moo to do their work?
Yeah, get the fuck out.
And the doctor.
Yo.
Respectfully get the fuck out.
Right. Of course, respectfully.
And then I would imagine Mr. Drummond's probably going to go back to his home.
I'm at least going to stop there to pick up some things.
Mm-hmm. Then we'll cycle forward 8 hours. People have rested. The safe house will be minus sans a few investigators. And then I would imagine some of you are going to obtain new clothing and whatever else is necessary. And then all I need to know is, at least for the moment, all I need to know is, where are you aiming this letter of recommendation at?
I defer to Stasi and Sam because I think they could work together. And
I mean, I'm thinking like a dock worker doesn't sound like a great idea. I would rather go either flower girl or like front door. That's kind of where I am.
Walking up to the guards at the front door or front gate would be a little bit ballsier.
I don't think that's a problem. I think that's it shouldn't be too bad.
Anybody have culture Cantonese?
And she's going to get it right away.
Any knowledges they could draw on?
I'm relying on my sense of understanding of my interactions with criminal syndicates are as follows. They don't have time for bullshit if you don't have anything to offer them. As far as I'm concerned, we have nothing to really offer them yet. We have to know what she wants. So just like when I interacted with Mr. Crime Boss in Italy, I told him what I wanted. We made a deal. I went home. And that was pretty much how it went.
Sure. So all I would offer you, and this is maybe not something Sam might key in on, all of the crime bosses that you have dealt with at this point in game have all been men.
Sure.
You've never had to approach a powerful woman. And so you may unintentionally fumble that because you don't understand the differences therein, even if there are differences.
But I'm not approaching her. I'm approaching her guard.
Okay.
Yeah. Just as a complete amateur, but somebody who lives in Shanghai, you're probably better off trying to get it in the hands of a lieutenant.
Probably not any dock workers carrying that sort of rank to Sam's point, though.
More like instead of a flower girl, someone who runs the flower girls.
Oh, you mean like an auntie?
Or just someone who works at her house, I think is as close as you're going to get.
I still think we could just go show up at her front gate and give it to her doorman.
It's an option.
Because she may be a criminal, crime lord or whatever like that, but she's also a person of the city, notable person of the city. And just like any other notable person, if you go to their front gate and you give them a letter of introduction, that's all you need.
All right. So those are your choices, Miss Lane. Where is your letter being delivered to?
Well, Mr. Moo already said that she would look to meet somebody such as myself. So I don't think getting an introduction is going to be as hard as we are thinking it's going to be, along with Jack's crown that he stole from places afar.
Possession is 9/10 of the law. It's
That's
Jack's
true.
crown. That's all that matters.
I think the front gate is fine at her house.
Then whom is delivering it?
I already suggested Sam and Stasi, as
Okay.
long as Stasi is going to disguise herself.
She could do that.
Sam is an
Maybe.
excellent person to ask about disguises. He's very good at that.
I think I can assist.
Assist yourself. So I guess if you're going to disguise yourself, then how are you going to disguise yourself?
I'm not disguising myself. I am playing the role I was meant to play, which is Miss Lane's valet and a specialized procurer of rare items. So I'm going to do my best to look as professional and dangerous as possible.
I will put together a lovely ensemble that will convey personal assistant. So perhaps as Miss Lane's assistant, I think would probably go over better. So we have the hired logistical arm of Miss Lane's scheduling and event calendars from my end, with her very beefy hired muscle.
That's a disguise then, yes, for the both of you. If memory serves, that's acting.
I will do either or. That is a hard success disguise, 21 over 89.
7, that is a hard success, sir.
Okay, so you both get done up. It takes you both a little while. You head off, inquiring after a little while. It does not take you terribly long to determine where Madame Lin's house is. So you find yourself back in the old city, but in a different location. And so she has an estate that is not terribly far from Bund, at least the southern portion of it here. What you do find is the place has quite a few people waiting outside. And by people, Sam, I mean guards. And Stasi, wouldn't you know it, every single one of these guards is a woman. So just on the approach, you find, 5 or 6 sets of eyes watching you walk up. And it's a nice long walkway, unlike anything around it. So it's probably 2 or 3 times as long of a walk from the gate area, which is unlocked and easily enough for you to pass through. But it gives them a nice long look at anybody who walks up to the house.
So once I realize kind of the hierarchy here, I will flank Stasi.
Okay. You approach her home. And once you get to the space before the door, there's a couple of short steps. One of the women outside of the home steps forward and greets you in Cantonese and says, "What brings you to this home?"
I greet her back in Cantonese and continue on. I am here on behalf of Miss Lillian Lane. I have a message from her to Madame Lin. I wished only to deliver. And I hold up the parchment.
The woman steps forward and takes the parchment from you, folds it face down, and then bows, and then steps inside the house. You're not really sure if you're supposed to wait or if you're supposed to leave. There's probably a few seconds anyway of that sort of uncomfortable anxiety. And I would ask, are you staying or going?
I don't move. I stay.
I lean in as well, and I will say, I think this is where they tell us to either go to hell or ask us where they can find us.
They're probably watching us.
Something unexpected happens. The doors open to Madame Lin's home, and you can see just beyond the entryway here. It is a very nice home. And that woman who greeted you, who took the card from you, steps out, and she immediately goes left. And in a beautiful canary yellow ensemble, Madame Lin steps out.
I try to hide my smirk.
I bow low.
Good day, she says.
I don't raise myself up and low. We are here on behalf of request for Miss Lillian Lane.
Yes, dear, I can read.
Is there a response? So I to take it back to her.
Sam, you feel you and your compatriot here get scrutinized.
I would like to spend 10 luck. That's okay.
Go ahead, spend 10 luck.
I continue to do my best to exude calm, confident professionalism.
Yeah, the two of you get looked over, basically. And you can feel her eyes wander, look in all of the portions of your outfit, and almost like a stalking predator looking for something. And she says, I would be happy to meet Miss Lane and inspect what she has to offer. Where might we contact her?
Her entourage are currently available to be found at hotel. May I return with a message for her of a time and date?
She steps all the way down the stairs. And you can feel like there's almost like a heat she exudes. Like there's a warmth. And she says, certainly, have I dropped by this evening? A card appears in her hand.
I'll put my hands, palms up together and reach out to receive it.
She places it there.
And I return it back against my body.
I look forward to it.
I nod, bow.
Sam, you see another person coming up the walkway.
I will side-eye them.
They're 8, maybe 9 years old. Young girl. Raven black hair. Pulled up. And you see that she walks right up to Madame Lin. And Lin sort of kneels down and rubs the side of her face. And nods. They have a very short conversation. For those of you who speak Cantonese in the area,
Yes.
Essentially, Lin says, did you deliver it? And the little girl says, of course I delivered it. And Lin says, good. Then come inside and have some tea. And the little girl, just without skipping a beat, basically walks up the steps and into the house, as does Lin. She doesn't pay the two of you any more mind. The door's shut.
At that point, I will straighten up and walk backwards down the stairs.
Okay.
A few steps from the stairs before I start to turn around and walk towards the gate.
Okay.
I will follow, continuing to contain my laughter and retain my composure.
I will keep the same demeanor as we walk until we are completely about a block away out of sight.
That is going to basically summate most of the day. So my question to you, the rest of you, after that is done, is Sam and Stasi are going to deliver the message, I would imagine, back to Miss Lane.
Yeah.
Okay.
As well as the encounter we had. Well, what the little girl, what happened, and what she said.
So they come back. Do they hand me the card?
Yeah, play it out.
It worked. Whether she made me or not, I can't say. She didn't give any indication, but it worked. And I kind of hand the card over to Lillian.
Are you standing in my room and like ripping your disguise off?
Yeah, you probably open the door and the jacket starts coming off in your room. So.
I mean, by all means, come in. Make yourself at home.
If,
It's better here than in Jack's room. I can't read Cantonese. What? Can you tell me what this says, please?
She wants to be with you tonight.
Here's the address.
Does it say anything else on the card?
No, there's a bunch of characters on the card.
What do the characters say?
It says it is essentially a printing of her address.
That's what I thought.
Is there a time?
Nope.
Just show up one.
She said this evening, I believe.
You and your entourage probably after sundown. So she'd like to see you this evening. That's the address. Okay. And I find a writing utensil of some kind. Pull out a fountain pen and flip over the card and write the address in English.
That's very helpful.
That is. Thank you so much. I never learned Cantonese in my schooling. I just learned French. So I appreciate you translating that for me.
Just so that we're clear, you should understand that Lin met us at the door and spoke to Stasi directly.
Great.
We don't know if she was made.
I think the fact that Lin did not just take you both prisoner right there is probably a tribute to Stasi's disguise.
As much as I would love to take full credit for that, and I do, I still do not put it past Madame Lin. She's too smart. She's been in the game too long. It's very possible that she could have made me and just wanted to see how this was going to play out. So be warned going into this tonight.
So I suggest you both find something appropriate to wear tonight, because I will need, you as my trusted entourage.
You're bringing her back to that house.
She was already there once.
You want to roll these dice again? I think that's foolish.
I live dangerously, and I leave the room and I go over to Jack's room, and I knock on the door.
I like
Is he
her.
there? Is he there? Did he come back?
I haven't gone anywhere. I'll answer it. Lillian, what can I help you with?
I seem to have gotten, Stasi and Sam seem to have procured an invite to Madame Lin's house this evening.
No. So, are we meeting? Are we going to be there tonight?
Do you fancy a date?
Yeah.
Well, we should probably get you some different attire.
Yeah. We'll get something nicer, and let's get a decent case for this crown.
Yeah, I agree, because coming in with I don't know what it's in now, whatever it's in, is probably not something I would bring as an encasing.
It's a rucksack.
That is not something.
I mean, it's like in my bag somewhere.
Yes, I agree. Let's get a different case for it.
Okay, well, if you want to head out now.
Yep, I think that's a great idea.
Okay.
I just turn around and I go tell Sam and Stasi that Jack and I are going shopping.
Shopping sounds fantastic. Any chance I could tag along?
No, go with Sam.
Excuse you? Excuse me. I'm going to hold up a hand for a second.
Well, so much for that.
Look, I understand whatever is happening right now with you seems bizarre, but I want to make it very, very clear. Lin is not to be trifled with. She's already taken her prisoner once. Why would you hand her to Lin again?
I am not the boss here. Stasi, you are a grown woman and you can make your own decision. If you want to come tonight, I back your play. If you don't want to come tonight, I back your play.
She was able to grab me because I was taken unawares. This time, I'm walking in of my own volition. I can be prepared. And I think if my skills so far have not shown my value, I think they could play out well tonight. I know what I'm getting into. I'm not frightened of her.
I'm not asking to be frightened. I'm saying that it's literally just putting us in danger needlessly. If she didn't make you, if she didn't make you, you're just asking her to make you when you get there.
She could have made me already. So we don't know. What are you worried about? Are you worried about you having to divert yourself from the mission to save me? Or are you worried about me being there blowing the whole mission to hell?
I would say a little of column A, a little of column B, and a little of we don't know what she's going to do when she realizes that you've wandered back into her house, full of guards that are more than happy to string all of us up, regardless of what sort of crown we bring her in an attempt to ingratiate ourselves.
Well, the danger's there no matter whether I'm there or not. My skills are fairly valuable. and are fairly useful. So when, shall we say, the proverbial latrine hits the fan, wouldn't it be better to have somebody else with skills who can take care of themselves and others, as well as be able to speak the language? Remember, I'm the assistant. I'm not taking the lead on this. I'm backup.
I'm just standing there watching. Okay, we don't have time for this.
Oh, we do. We have until evening. It's morning.
It's not even lunchtime. Don't take away my lunch, damn it.
All right, well, I am going to go get some coffee while I wait for Jack to come meet me down on the first floor. You two can work this out. I believe in you.
It's the opposite of a good idea. That's all I'm going to say. Do with it what you will.
We're walking into the lion's den. This is all completely the opposite of a good idea.
Yes, and you are literally raw meat for her.
I haven't survived this long, especially here in Shanghai, without having a few skills to use.
How did you get away?
Well, let's see, overpowering the guard and basically burning the building down.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure she'll take that lightly.
Yeah, well, are we bringing Drummond? Because he was kind of there too.
I have no intention of bringing either one of you. That was kind of the intention. Is you're both linked to Pierce. She has a problem with Pierce. This is a bad idea.
Mm-hmm. And you walking in there as you, Lillian, and maybe one other person, the three of you walking in will be completely overwhelmed. So what do you want to do? What do you think the play should be, Sam?
I already said. Lillian goes in. I go in. Jack goes in.
Mm-hmm.
We negotiate. We do our best to ingratiate ourselves and not get ourselves captured or killed, and not bait her into seeing us as a danger or a threat.
I'm still standing here because I can't help it.
Why am I the only one that sees this problem?
Okay.
No, I agree with you. I absolutely agree with you. I think Stasi and Drummond are liabilities in this negotiation.
How about instead of bringing Stasi, we go get Maeve? Madame Lin doesn't know who Maeve is.
Yeah, I can agree to that.
And she will definitely be intrigued by Maeve's visage.
And, exactly. So I think it's a good idea. Not that I would be opposed to you being there, Stasi, in disguise. But
no offense taken.
If it's going to cause this much contention, and I don't have time for it anymore.
Besides, at least Drummond and I can probably play backup on the outside.
And that's a fantastic idea.
There we go. Does that help settle things, Sam?
I walk out of the damn room.
He's a tough nut to crack, isn't he?
Yep. Stasi's staying. Well, Stasi's going, but not going in. And so who's going to go get Maeve? Because she's not here right now to agree to this.
Well, we're going to go shopping. Why don't we head out and get Maeve while we're shopping?
That's a good idea.
And on that note, a fantastic time to end. So thank you all for joining us for this episode of Masks and Nyarlathotep. I look forward to a dinner date with Jack, Lillian, and friends on our next episode. So thank you and good night.